Right friends, welcome back to Learning Space. This is Brainstorming with rewind of 10 months editorials. In fact, from the editorials which we have discussed during the past 10 months, we are selecting certain aspects which are important and required from your prelims perspective, and we are going to cover those points only, and 60 revision modules. These 20 brainstorming total makes 80 modules and 8 mock papers we are presenting. Probably these along with whatever we have produced, 38 modules of brainstorming. Please don't forget about brainstorming modules. It consists of 760 MCQs and trend stock, and these will certainly take care of your prelims requirements as far as current affairs is concerned. Right friends, two suggestions I would like to make. These slides may contain lot of information, and entire information may not be useful from your prelims perspective, and whatever I am explaining, please concentrate on my explanation, because some of the slides, that means all the points in the slides, may not be important from your prelims perspective. That's why I am emphasizing on whatever is important from your prelims perspective. Right friends, the sugar crisis. Right, the government to come out of sugar crisis, it announces number of incentives. Right, and in this context, please don't forget, the biggest problem is the sugar cane price is not linked to the market price of sugar. The sugar cane price is not linked to the market price of sugar. Look at it. Last year, when we are looking at 2017-18, there was a supply glut. Glut means excess. Supply is more than the demand. This is not that important from prelims perspective. What is important is, the point is this fair and remunerative price. Very important. Fair and remunerative price. That is announced by the center. Second point, this is the price which the mills are required to pay. That means it is the legal price which the mills are required to pay. Third important aspect here is the sugar cane price is not linked to the market price of sugar. Fourth important point is sugar cane is water guzzling crop. Fifth important point is it skews water usage. And sixth important point is above the fair and remunerative price, the states give some more, which is known as State Advised Price or SAP. Right friends, this fair and remunerative price, this is the legal price which the center guarantees. That means this is the price which is to be paid by the mills to the farmers, and it is not linked to the price of sugar. One important aspect, don't forget, there is a substantial increase in the sugar cane production as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned. If you look at Uttar Pradesh, there is a substantial increase in the sugar cane production. Why? You may have a doubt. That is primarily because of new variety CO0238. CO0238. Because of this, the sugar cane production in Uttar Pradesh increased enormously. And please don't forget, this is also very popular because of the better recovery rate in the sugar cane, sugar parlance. One word don't forget, that is recovery rate. Recovery rate is the percentage of sugar out of the sugar cane, right? And please have a glance at it, and please look for this year's figures as far as all India sugar production is concerned. In 2017-18, Uttar Pradesh has overtaken Maharashtra in the all India sugar production. If you look at the sugar cane production, Uttar Pradesh is much ahead. That is primarily because of CO0238, don't forget. And one word, recovery rate, also don't forget. And I have given here the points. That means what are the factors for fixing fair and remunerative price? Right, so the cane price announced by the center is decided based on the recommendations of CACP in consultation with state governments, along with feedback from associations of sugar industry So this is important, and you can have a glance at these points. And please do not forget this sugar cane price, which is promised by the center, that is FRP, is not linked to the market price of sugar. And when there is glut, when there is fall in the global sugar prices, Indian sugar industry faces the problem. And Rangarajan committee recommended revenue sharing formula. There are several flaws in the existing mechanism. So therefore, Rangarajan committee suggested revenue sharing formula. Just have a look at it. Farmers and mills, they have to share the revenue from the sugar in specific ratio. This is Rangarajan committee suggestion, but it is not implemented. Next important item is Composite Water Management Index. Niti Aayog released Composite Water Management Index, and it is based on 9 parameters, and it gave rankings to the states. More than this, what is important, just have a glance at 2-3 important points. 600 million people face high to extreme water stress. And more than this, what is important here, hard rock aquifers, these 2 points, don't forget. Why the Indian groundwater is facing the problem? 2 things, please don't forget. One is around 2/3 of India's overall aquifers surface area consists of hard rock. Very important. This aquifer surface area that constitutes, that means around 2/3 constitutes this hard rock with low permeability. Hard rock with low permeability. Because of that, the recharge by the rainwater is constrained. 2 things, don't forget. 2/3 of our aquifers are of hard rock. Then next important aspect is the poor permeability because of hard rock, and because of that, the recharge of the rainfall water into the groundwater is affected. Hard rock, low permeability. Then next important aspect, water table is falling. Because of that, what is taking place? Because of the fall in the water table, then underground storage systems are vulnerable to pollutants. All of you are familiar with arsenic pollution. Now a new thing emerged, that is uranium contamination. Please recollect, uranium contamination in aquifers in 16 Indian states is the recent example, and Rajasthan is worst affected as per the recent research. So friends, main sources of uranium contamination are natural, but 2 things, please don't forget here, the nitrate pollution because of the excessive use of the fertilizers and subsequent leaching into the soil. Second important aspect is this groundwater decline, or you can say groundwater table decline, because we are in fact extracting more water. Because of that, what is being happened? Groundwater table is going down. Because of that, the oxidation conditions, very, very important here. Why this uranium concentration is increasing? Uranium, have a glance at it. Rajasthan, it is worst affected as per the recent report, and the pollution with uranium, there are some natural reasons. And second important aspect is this nitrate pollution is worsening the problem. Third important aspect is oxidation conditions because of overdrawal of the water, or you can say as the groundwater table is going down, it is giving rise to oxidation conditions. Have a glance at it here. Uranium rich granitic rocks, right? Uranium rich granitic rocks. This is one reason. Second point is over pumping of groundwater that causes decline in the water levels, and because of that, what happens? It induces oxidation conditions. Because of that, uranium enrichment in the shallow groundwater is taking place. Most important point, as the water table is going down because of over extraction from the ground, then what happens here? Oxidation conditions. It is inducing oxidation conditions because of which uranium enrichment is taking place in the groundwater. 2 important points I would like to tell you. WHO prescribes 30 micrograms per liter, But unfortunately in our country, there is no letdown standard as far as this uranium contamination is concerned. Right friends, when one looks at uranium, 4-5 important points. One is, don't forget, Rajasthan is worst affected. Second important thing, WHO prescribes 30 micrograms per liter. Third one is, there are no standards prescribed in our country by Bureau of Indian Standards. Fourth one is, some of the rocks are uranium rich, granitic. Fifth important aspect is, some of the pollution is natural. But the next most important point is, as the groundwater is going down, it is facilitating the oxidation, because of which uranium enrichment is taking place. Right friends, these 2 points are very important. Just have a glance at these 2 points 2-3 times. Right friends, let us look at Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. During the year, we discussed 3-4 times with regard to Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Here, this is to solve twin balance sheet problem. What is twin balance sheet problem? I told you number of times, these banks, they gave loans to the companies. The companies are not paying back, whatever the reason, whether it is genuine or not genuine, that is different. But as the companies failed to pay back, the balance sheets of both banks and these companies are affected. That is known as twin balance sheet problem. And Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code is basically to solve the exit problem. Don't forget, it is to solve the exit problem. Exit problem means when the companies are into losses, when the companies are not able to run properly, how to come out of it. So Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code mechanism, that is to solve the exit problem. And please don't forget, the main purpose of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code is resolution, but not liquidation. The main purpose is resolution, not liquidation. But majority of the cases are going for liquidation. Liquidation means this company is not functioning well, it is to be sold and money is to be distributed. That is liquidation. And what is resolution? Resolution means when the company is not able to function properly, it is to be brought back to life. That is resolution. So friends, the main purpose of IBC is resolution, not liquidation. But if you see the experience during the past 2 years, majority of the cases are going for liquidation. Another important word, haircut. Suppose the bank is to get 100 crores. It is getting 60 crores through the resolution or liquidation. Then this is haircut. 40 crores is haircut. So friends, these are the important words. Resolution, liquidation, exit problem, right? Twin balance sheet problem, haircut. Please do not forget about all these words. Then purpose of IBC is to provide legal framework for the reorganization and insolvency resolution, and it is to create maximization of value. Important word from your prelims perspective, maximization of value of the assets. Suppose this company is not performing well, how to maximize the value? So that is possible only through resolution, not liquidation, right? And it is to promote entrepreneurship. Sometimes these may be important from your exam perspective, right? Let us move on. And 4 pillars are there in the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. 4 pillars, very important. First pillar is the regulator. IBBI is the regulator, don't forget. I will come to it a short while from now. Next one is adjudicating authority. When there is dispute between State Bank of India and some steel company, that is in fact adjudicating authority. Who will adjudicate, right? Between the bank on one side, company on the other side, that is adjudicating authority, right? So here, National Company Law Tribunal, that is the adjudicating authority as far as this corporate sector. Please don't forget, this National Company Law Tribunal is the adjudicating authority for the companies as well as limited liability partnerships, or what you can call LLPs, right? So please don't forget, it is the adjudicating mechanism for the companies and limited liability partnerships. Next point I would like to tell you, this National Company Law Tribunal is not the adjudicating authority for partnership firms and individuals. Very important. And please don't forget, this Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code is meant for companies, limited liability partnerships, partnership firms as well as individuals. But please remember, this NCLT or National Company Law Tribunal, this is applicable, or you can say this is the adjudicating authority only for companies and limited liability partnerships. Very important. And for others, in fact, that is partnership firms and individuals. In fact, this Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code rules and regulations are yet to be made operational. Very important. Though Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code has got provisions for all 4 categories, but when one looks at individuals like you and me as well as partnership firms, for these 2 categories, the rules and regulations are yet to be devised. So therefore, if some insolvency is there, that means I have taken money from you, I am not paying you back. So that is individual insolvency cases, and such type of cases, this Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code provisions at present are not applied. They are applied for companies as well as the limited liability partnerships, most important. Then this Debt Recovery Tribunal, that is for individuals and unlimited partnership firms, right? So partnership firms and individuals, the mechanism is debt recovery tribunals. And please don't forget, the rules and regulations of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code for these 2 types are not yet issued. Very important. Then private industry of insolvency professionals, this is the 3rd pillar. Insolvency professionals or insolvency professional agencies. Please don't forget, when the company has gone to NCLT, very important, when the company is referred to NCLT, then what happens? This insolvency professionals, they will take over the management, right? So here the management is managed by the insolvency professionals. The management loses the control. So these are important aspects. Then information utilities. There is a private industry of information utilities, right? So information utility, please have a glance at the 1st pillar. 1st pillar is this Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. Just have a glance at it. It regulates the profession as well as the transactions. So friends, the profession is regulated by it. Transactions are regulated by it. What is the meaning? The profession is regulated by it. The meaning here is insolvency professionals, insolvency utilities, all these are regulated by the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. Very, very important, right? That's why it has got the provisions of profession and transactions. These points I have already deliberated. Then information utility, I already explained you, this is one of the pillars of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. And here National E-Governance Services Limited, this is information utility, very important. This National E-Governance Services Limited, this is information utility for 5 years. And please don't forget, it is set up by leading banks and public institutions, and it is union government company, don't forget. And what is the purpose of this? The purpose is basically it gives authentic information, readily available authentic financial information. That is the role of this National E-Governance Services Limited. Friends, most important, these 4 pillars, right? You got clarity? What is the role? The regulator, it regulates the profession as well as transactions. Then adjudicating authority, NCLT as well as appellate authority, and in case of individuals and unlimited partnership firms, debt recovery tribunals. And the next one is insolvency professionals, and next is information utilities, very important. And information utility, that is in fact National E-Governance Services Limited, that is recognized as an information utility. It is in the government sector, please don't forget, it is a government company and it is the authentic source of information in the insolvency proceedings. Right friends, here regulator is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. And please don't forget, because of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, the power is shifted from the debtor to the creditor, very important. And now the power is shifted from the companies to the banks. To be precise, it is shifted from the debtors or the borrowers to the lenders or the creditors. This is very important. It is applicable equally for all, but partnership firms and individuals' insolvency provisions are yet to be notified. I already told you, individual insolvency is still as per previous acts, right? And before Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, here there were several overlapping laws, including Contracts Act, SURFACI Act, please don't forget. Right. So, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code and Banking Regulation Act, this is very, very important. How 12 cases were referred by Reserve Bank of India, or you can say how banks referred 12 cases to Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Please don't forget, there is one 35AA, very important, 35AA of the Banking Regulation Act. And through 35AA of the Banking Regulation Act, please do not forget, Center authorizes Reserve Bank of India, very important, Center, most important, authorizes Reserve Bank of India to issue directions to the banks. Three important aspects, please don't forget. Center here authorizes Reserve Bank of India to issue directions to the banks to initiate insolvency resolution process. So friends, Center has to authorize RBI, and later on RBI has to direct the banks to refer the cases under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Accordingly, around 1.5 years ago, 12 insolvency cases were in fact referred to NCLT. This is one important aspect, please don't forget. And the next important aspect I would like to tell you, recently the Supreme Court struck down February 12 circular. Why it was struck down? Because improper application of 35AA of Banking Regulation Act, February 12 circular is issued by Reserve Bank of India to the banks, right? And here two things were faulted by Supreme Court. Supreme Court said it is general in nature. When the cases are referred to Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, they should not be general in nature. Second important aspect is it has not taken permission from the Center, because under section 35AA, Center authorizes RBI to issue directions to the banks. Because of that, February 12 circular was in fact quashed by the Supreme Court, right? Please don't forget. 3-4 important aspects I would like to tell you about Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. If you look at Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, and the cases under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code can be referred to NCLT by any of these three. One is operational creditors, 2 is financial creditors, 3 is corporate debtors. Please don't forget, any of these three, very important, any of these three can refer the cases when there is a default for solving the insolvency. Any of these three can refer the cases to NCLT. Please don't forget this financial creditors, that means the banks, for example, I have taken banks gave loans to these companies. So banks are financial creditors. And please don't forget, in the committee of creditors, which takes important decisions with regard to resolution plan, only financial creditors will be there. Very, very important. So only financial creditors will be there in the committee of creditors, don't forget. right? And these are operational creditors. There is a difference. For building the company, there's a cement factory, there's a sand supplier, they supplied sand, they supplied cement, and these are operational creditors. And please don't forget, for referring the case to the NCLT, here financial creditors, operational creditors, corporate debtors, that means the defaulted companies, all three can refer the case to NCLT. And when one looks at the committee of creditors, please don't forget, it is represented only by financial creditors, right? And have a look at it. Once the case is referred to this National Company Law Tribunal, then interim insolvency professional is appointed, then regular insolvency professional is appointed, later on resolution plan. If the resolution plan to save the company, to put the company on track could not be achieved, then what happens? The company will go for liquidation. That is the important aspect. And committee of creditors is important to take various decisions. And if you take real estate sector, please don't forget, recently the government said this home buyers will be treated as financial creditors. Very important. Home buyers, you purchased one apartment, you will be treated as financial creditors, just like banks, right? And these are operational creditors, as I have already explained you. And friends, in the case of resolution plan, that means through the insolvency and bankruptcy code mechanism, resolution is achieved. Then under those circumstances, here this is the priority for recovery. First priority should go to them, second priority to them, third priority to them, like that priority is there. The last priority is equity holders. Please don't forget, right friends? Some of you might got bored because of them, but it is inevitable. You should have clear idea about insolvency and bankruptcy code, because 1 or 2 questions are expected in the prelims. And recently the government took a decision to in fact designate home buyers as the financial creditors. Very important, right? Just like banks. And some changes were made recently. I would like to explain you from prelims perspective. The home buyers are in fact designated as financial creditors. That means they will have the powers just like the banks. Then next important aspect is withdrawal of corporate insolvency resolution process is possible with the approval of committee of creditors with 90% voting share. That means when some case has gone to NCLT and withdrawing from them, it requires 90% of voting share by the committee of creditors. Please don't forget, let me tell you once again, committee of creditors constitutes only the financial creditors. Then approval of resolution plan, very important, approval of resolution plan 66%. Then for routine decisions 51%, right? Very important. These are very important aspects, please don't forget. First one is withdrawal is possible with 90%. Then for major decisions, here 66%. That means in the committee of creditors, 66% should agree. And for the routine decisions, 51% should agree. And the next important aspect is the related parties of big companies. They cannot participate in the resolution plan, but exception is there for MSMEs, right? And as I have already told you, this application for insolvency resolution process can be done by operational creditor, financial creditor and corporate debtor, and the time limit is 180 plus 90 days, but the time limit is exceeded. That is the real cause of worry, right? So let us wind up the discussion on insolvency and bankruptcy code here. Look at some more important aspects. And friends, how India has built its foreign exchange reserves. This item we discussed. This is the article from Indian Express, and in this context, students should have clarity about these aspects. This is with regard to the mercantile trade deficit. Have a glance at it. This is in fact mercantile trade deficit, and this is invisibles. right friends? Please don't forget, current account is bifurcated into this visibles. Visibles is mercantile trade. Second one is invisibles. Invisibles has got three components. So friends, please don't forget, these are mercantile trade deficit figures and these are invisibles, and this is total current account. And friends, this trend may be asked, that is very important. Then net capital inflows, and just look for the trends during the past 10 years, right? Annual reserve accretion, this is also important. And here these are the foreign exchange reserves, right? And what is important from your examination perspective is these figures, right? Just have a glance at it. Don't remember the figures. The trend is important during the past 10 years. And I explained through these slides mercantile trade, and in fact current account consists of mercantile trade. This is known as visibles. Then services. Services is part of invisibles. Basically Indian software sector is the main contributor. We have positive here, or you can say we have surplus here. Next comes primary income. This is basically income on FPI investments, not FPI investments. FPI, FDI, those investments, right? They comes under financial account or capital account. But if somebody is investing in FDI, if somebody is investing in FPI, but if they are getting the profit, right, their income, that is considered as primary income under the current account, and it is negative here. And next, secondary income, basically foreign remittances, it is positive here. And friends, these three put together, invisibles, services, then primary income, then secondary income, these three put together is invisibles. Visibles plus invisibles makes current account. And if you look at the capital account or financial account, foreign portfolio investments, these figures are not that important. I have already given the trend in that slide. FDI is part of financial account. Then most important, many of you may have confusion, external commercial borrowing, then NRI deposits. These are part of the financial account. Special drawing rights, foreign currency assets, right friends, these are part of the financial account. And if you club everything, this is the trend for the past 10 years. Just have a glance at it, right? And the economics of Swachhita, two important points are given here. Just look at these 2 points. Sometimes they may be important from prelims perspective. Then one more important aspect I would like to tell you, Swachhagrahis. Swachhagrahis are quite often in the news. Swachhagrahis are voluntary, very important, and normally they belongs to the same gram panchayats or the neighboring locality. They are the foot soldiers of Swachhita mission. And next important aspect, their role comes into picture. Even the village is declared as ODF, please don't forget. Even after village is declared as ODF, their role is there. And please don't forget, they are appointed at the district level based on the recommendations of Gram Panchayat. And for Swachhagrahis, please don't forget, their job is temporary in nature. You cannot call it job. They are the foot soldiers. It is temporary in nature. It is voluntary. It is not permanent. They are normally from the village or in the neighboring locality. Then based on the Gram Panchayat recommendations, they are appointed at the district level, and as per the circular, they should be paid some incentives. Very important, right? So their services will be taken even after the village is continued, or you can say even after the village is declared as ODF. Friends, this is very important. Swachhagrahis quite often in the news in Swachh Bharat mission, right? And G7, this is into the news. This may not be that important, but 2-3 points I would like to tell you here. G7 constitutes 7 industrialized nations. Basically the purpose here is to dominate, or you can say to reinforce the domination of Western democratic and liberal economic model in the global order, right? So if you see at present, The G7 share of global GDP is around 47%. But please don't forget, these 7 industrialized nations are in the top 10, right? But in the top 7, China and India occupied by replacing Italy and Canada, right? So this may not be that important. Just for the sake of your idea, I have taken this G7, right friends? This concludes first brainstorming session. Let us continue like this. I am concentrating mostly on the points required from your prelims perspective, but in the insolvency and bankruptcy code, I have gone much deeper because that depth is required to answer critical question under insolvency and bankruptcy code. I hope you got sufficient knowledge through this module. Please do join for second module. Have a nice day. Thank you.